What is up, guys? Welcome to the first episode on my new channel, OG Sports TV. This is a channel that I made for me because I feel like that I always have very opinionated views on sports, especially the NFL. And with the playoffs coming around now, I felt like this was the perfect time for me to get my channel started. So I hope you enjoy. This week we're going to talk about the NFL wildcard weekend with a 6 game slate for the first time that I can remember. And I'm super excited. We have the games right here in front of us. And the first game of the weekend on Saturday afternoon is going to be the Colts at the Buffalo Bills. Uh, see, see, I don't think the Colts can win this game, especially in Buffalo with the Bills Mafia showing out. I don't think they can do it. The Bills are a buzzsaw right now. I don't think they can be stopped, and they're a Hail Mary away. If you remember that crazy play Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins had against them in Arizona, they're a Hail Mary away from winning their last 10 games. And they're 13-3, and their 3 losses include Kansas City, the a weird Tuesday game against the Titans when they really didn't show up. They got smoked. They lost about 42-17, I believe it was, and the game I just mentioned against Arizona. So they're good losses, other than the one against Tennessee, which, like I said, was in a weird game on a Tuesday back in October. I'm not going to take that one too seriously. They're good losses, and they're showing out. They scored almost 60 points on the Dolphins today. The Dolphins have 10 wins. They have great defense. So, I just don't know how anyone, I don't know, especially how the Colts, I don't think Phillip Rivers is going to translate to playing in Buffalo in the cold in January with the fans of the way that they are. So I think the Bills are going to take this one, and I think it's going to be, I think they win by at least double digits. I think they win by at least 10 points. Moving on, the Saturday afternoon game, the Browns at the Steelers. Um, we just saw this on Sunday, and it was a weird game considering that the Steelers rested. It was their B team. It was the Steelers rested all the team, and the Browns barely pulled away with it. It was 24-22. It was like not very convincing. If you're a Browns fan, you're very happy to be in the playoffs. It's been, I believe, the graphic they posted on the broadcast was they've been out of the playoffs since 2002. So this is a huge moment for them. Congratulations to the Browns. But I think it might be quiet for them next week. The Steelers have a lot to prove after starting off 11-0 and then dropping for their last 5. So I think the Steelers have more to prove, and I'm not sure Baker Mayfield is ready for this moment. Baker Mayfield does this thing where he gets so hyped up, and I think he gets too confident, and then he goes into the game and he makes stupid mistakes. And in a game like this, in a game in Pittsburgh in the playoffs where he's never been, I think that he's going to come out and he's going to compete. The Browns, it's probably going to be a close game, but I have to give it to the Steelers. Big Ben coming in, he's Big Ben's on the tail end of his career, gonna make one more run for it. I don't think the Browns can win this game in Pittsburgh. Um, Plus, the Pittsburgh defense is going to do everything they can to stop Nick Chubb, and if the Browns can't run the ball, I don't see any avenue for them winning. The night game on Saturday, the Ravens at the Titans, something I'm super excited for. The Ravens are incredibly hot right now. They've won their last 5 games, and today and Sunday against the Bengals, they ran for 400 yards. 400 yards. You may say, "Oh, well, OG, it's the Bengals." Well, the Bengals are a professional football team, and they gave up 400 yards on the ground. The beginning of this year, the Ravens didn't look like themselves. They looked confused on offense. They weren't putting up very many points, but they seem to have found it. They seem they've gotten hot at the right time, and they finished this year again. They finished this year with the best point differential in the NFL at plus 165. So, and they did it twice in a row, and which is the only team in the last 25 years to do that back to back. So, as in the Titans, don't think I'm sleeping on the Titans. The Titans are an incredible team, and Derrick Henry is the leading rusher again, and he's got to be a Hall of Famer. I think that the Titans definitely could win this game, and they're at home, and they did it to them last year in a game I don't think very many people thought the Titans could win. But now that we know that they're capable of that, this game could go either way. I think I'm going to give it to the Ravens. I think that the Ravens, it's the revenge factor. We just saw it with Ohio State and Clemson in the semifinal in the college football playoff. I think it's the same deal here. I think that the Ravens, they weren't supposed to lose in that game last year, but Lamar, it was a humbling for him. It was a wake up call for him, and I think that the Ravens are in a good spot heading into this game, even on the road. I think the Ravens, like I mentioned with their point differential, they don't give up a whole ton of points, and the defense notoriously travels. I think the Ravens defense is going to come in and they're going to show up against the Titans and do what they can to stop Derrick Henry, even though I don't know if anyone can really stop him. And I think it's going to be a rough day for Ryan Tannehill. So I'll give it to the Ravens for this one. And what should be a close game, it should be a really exciting game. It could go either way, but I'm going to go with Baltimore. Now, on Sunday afternoon, the Chicago Bears go to New Orleans and play the Saints in what is reportedly Drew Brees' last run. He's supposed to be retiring at the end of this season, and this one he's going to try to make it really special. I don't see any way that the Bears can win this game. I really don't. I think that the Bears, this is the potential to be the most lopsided game of the weekend. I don't see any way where they can even compete with the Saints, because the Saints notoriously have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. And the Bears recently, the way that they got in the playoffs was David Montgomery having a resurgence. And they're going to go to New Orleans and they're going to get stifled on the ground. Mitch Trubisky is not going to have anything to help him out. And I don't think Trubisky is a guy that can go to New Orleans and win you a playoff game, because he's going to have to do it by himself. And I don't know anyone who thinks that he can do that. So I think this one is going to go with the Saints. I think this one's going to be ugly. I think they're going to win by a lot. I think, like I said, it's going to be the most lopsided game of the weekend. And the Saints, I mentioned how the Ravens had the best point differential in the league. The Saints have the second best point differential in the league at plus 145. They don't give up points. Drew Brees is going to come in. He's going to come in motivated. They're going to score a lot. Alvin Kamara should be back from his bout for COVID. We'll see about that. But I think either way, this one's going to go to the Saints, and they're going to win it pretty easily. Sunday afternoon, the Rams at the Seahawks. I think this one could be fun. This one might be, if you enjoy defense, this one might be fun. These two teams always play very weird games. The Seahawks always play weird games, but the Seahawks and the Rams, when they come together, it's always a very grinded out type of affair. There are two things I'm looking for in this game. I think that the Rams need this. I think they need this win more than anyone else in the slate, than anyone else in the weekend. They need this win, other than maybe the Buccaneers, which I'll get to. But the Rams need this win because they need to validate the Sean McVay and the Jared Goff experience, because they had that run and they went to the Super Bowl and they came out and they laid an egg and they lost to the Patriots. And then last year they don't even make the playoffs to finish 9-7. So I think the Rams really need this one, especially against a division opponent in Seattle, who beat you out to win the division. I think they really need this one, and I think they have a good chance. I think because Russell Wilson historically struggles against the Rams, and I don't think the Seattle offensive line is going to be able to keep Aaron Donald at bay. And that's something I'm looking for this on the Seahawks perspective, is can Tyler Lockett step up, because he's been quiet. And he had one decent game since the explosion against Arizona, which was another game, the second game against Arizona. So I think he's going to have to step up, because Jalen Ramsey is going to be on DK Metcalf. And as good as DK Metcalf is, I think that's going to be a battle. Jalen Ramsey might end up on top, who knows? But it's going to be on Tyler Lockett. He's going to have to show up. He's going to have to make an impact, because if he doesn't, and the Seahawks have to if they have to run the ball as a primary form of moving the ball, as a primary form of scoring, I think they're gonna have a tough time. This one could go either way. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. I think Russell's gonna step up. I think Tyler Lockett's gonna step up, and I don't think Jared Goff can go into Seattle and beat them in the playoff atmosphere. I think Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll have been through this too many times. I think they have experience doing this. I think they're going to go in there, going to do what's needed to be done, and they're going to win a semi-close game. I think they'll win by a touchdown. And the final game of the weekend, Sunday night, the Buccaneers at the Washington football team. I think this could be a trap game for the Buccaneers. I think there's no guarantee that they're going to go in there and win. I think very easily the Washington could win this game. And I think, and as I mentioned, the Rams really need their game. I think the Buccaneers need to win this game because of the amount of hype that they came into the season, because that team is loaded. They should not be the 5th seed. They shouldn't. They should win their division, especially with the way that the Saints, Drew Brees was out for a little while. The Buccaneers really missed an opportunity. And I think what cost them that is their record this year against playoff teams. They were 1-4 against playoff teams this year. And those 4 losses were 2 losses against the Saints, 1 loss against Kansas City, and 1 loss against the Rams. And in those games, Tom Brady's averages in those games, he threw 7 touchdowns and 9 picks overall, 9 picks in 4 games. He averaged 250 passing yards, a 60% completion percentage, and only 6.2 yards per attempt. And I think what that shows you is the Bucs have 11 wins, but they've only beaten 1 playoff team. So I think they've been beaten up on bad teams, particularly the Falcons and the Panthers in their division. And I don't know. I don't think with the way that this Washington team is set up, they play great defense. It's going to be in Washington. That field is not great. It's going to be an ugly game. It might be the ugliest game of the weekend in terms of just the quality of football and the score. It's probably going to be it's not going to be very high scoring, I don't think. I think it's going to be tough for the Buccaneers. They can win. They should win because they're a better team, but it's not a guarantee that they will. And I think this is the biggest potential for an upset this weekend. I think it would not surprise me at all that if Washington came out and won this game, and in fact I'm picking them to win this game, because I think their defense is going to be too much. I don't think Tom Brady's going to be able to come in there in those conditions against a grinded out type of team like that I don't think he's going to be able to win the game. And if you think about it, I said he was 1-4 against playoff teams this year. That one game that they won is when they smoked Green Bay in October. I believe it was 38-10, something like that. And if you look at that, you're like, oh well, Green Bay's probably the best team in the league, other than the Chiefs or the Bills. It's a toss up. But if you look at exactly how that game went down, Tom Brady threw for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. 166 yards. What does that tell you? It tells you that the defense had themselves a day, and the game was in Tampa. The defense had themselves a day, and they ran the ball very effectively, and they ran it a lot. Ronald Jones had a career day. He ran 23 times for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it tells you Tom Brady probably didn't need to do a whole lot, and he didn't turn it over, which is good. But it shows me that he hasn't proved it this year, that he can go and beat a good team. And Washington's not a great team, but they're in the playoffs. They won the division, and it's in Washington. I think it's going to be quiet for Tampa Bay. So that's what I think for this weekend's NFL wildcard games. So to recap, I pick the Bills against the Colts. I pick the Steelers against the Browns. I picked the Ravens against the Titans. I picked the Saints in a landslide over the Bears. I picked Seattle against the Rams, and I picked Washington in the upset of the week over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, guys, that'll wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment down below. If you'd like to see more videos in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. All right. Shout out to all my OGs out there. Remember, be kind to someone today.